This podcast may contain explicit language. Respect is the ultimate currency. I was stealing from a man who traded his away for a few dollars. Inside Man is next. Welcome to the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast, the show that uses a unique grading style to redefine what the greatest movies are. I'm Tom Duncan.
And I'm Dana Duncan.
And tonight, for our 304th episode, we discuss the heist film Inside Man from 2006, celebrating its 20th anniversary. Directed by Spike Lee, written by Russell Gaywerts, cinematography by Matthew Libatique, music by Terrence Blanchard, editing by Barry Alexander Brown, starring, of course, Denzel Washington as Detective Keith Frazier, Clive Owen as Dalton Russell, Jodie Foster as Madeline White, Christopher Plummer as Arthur Case, Chiwetel Ejiofor as Detective Bill Mitchell, Kim Director as Valerie Keepsake / Stevie, James Ransone as Darius Peltz / Stevo, Carlos Andreas Gomez as Kenneth Damerjan / Steve, and Bernie Rochelle as Haim. Background for the movie: Inside Man was released on March 24th, 2006. On an estimated budget of between 45 to 60 million, the film would go on to gross roughly 184.4 million to finish as the number 21 film at the worldwide box office for 2006. Critics were mildly positive at the time, with the exception of Roger Ebert, and this was, at the time, the most successful film for either Denzel Washington or Spike Lee's careers. Nevertheless, a planned sequel fizzled out after a few years in pre-production. Inside Man currently holds an 86% on Rotten Tomatoes among critics, a 76 score on Metacritic, and a 3.7 out of 5 on Letterboxd. But we cannot do this ourselves, so we bring in a returning celebrity guest. He is the co-host of the War Starts at Midnight podcast. It's the Hotlanta hotshot of hospitality. Please welcome back Peterson W. Hill.
You know, it's probably only been about 3 months, maybe 4, but it feels like it's been 6 months.
Because it has been.
Has it been that long?
You haven't been on since October.
Dang. Okay.
This is your longest stretch where you haven't been on the show.
And then after this, I might go another 6 months. I'm pretty backloaded this year, I think.
So your next one with us is in June.
Mm.
You're going to be guesting with Scott Cole for Clute, which I haven't seen.
Big D.
Saw it a long time ago.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Early 80s.
It's going to be interesting to have you and Scott together on an episode for once, especially given how much you trade back and forth in the Discord between each other.
We're two just absolute nerds.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, it just, I haven't done the box office game or the pyramid today, but, I'll do it after this. I'll slam it down.
Give it a late night and the old college try. Anyway, so how have you been, sir, since it has been 6 months?
Oh, man, I've been good. Things are crazy right now. We've had something with our kids every weekend since January. Dance, musical theater competitions, everything. This weekend is auditions, and then I think we're clear the weekend after, and then it's spring break, and I'm ready for that.
You only have a few more years of your children raising you.
And that's, truly, my daughter is done at 9 o'clock on Mondays. I'm just like, how do we get here? She's 9.
Well, you let them sign up for a bunch of stuff, and eventually it snowballs on you.
Yeah, and it's, she came to us and said she had goals for herself. And things that she wanted to accomplish in musical theater and dance. Really in dance wants to work on her tap. She's like, I want to be a great tapper, which is great. Hey, if you want to be in musical theater one day, tap is the way to go. It's about the best skill you can have in musical theater.
Anywho, to our movie of the evening. Now, this is one that I'd seen once before, and I saw it with my brother-in-law and my sister at their house. It was one of those movies where I'd heard about it on the Rewatchables. I'd listened to the episode before I'd ever seen it, and they talked about it enough that I'm like, okay, I'll give this movie a try kind of thing, which is something we often say to other people to try our show that way. But in this particular instance, we were just searching around for a movie. Nobody could decide on anything. My brother-in-law, being the avowed anti-Spike Lee critic that he is, I did not tell him Spike Lee directed this movie. So then when we watched it, and he was like really involved in it, and afterward, that was really good. And I told him, yeah, it was a Spike Lee joint. You're kidding me. So I got him to actively watch and enjoy a Spike Lee movie. My work is done. Anyway.
A lot of Spike in this, too.
Dad, this was your first time with the movie.
Yes, it was.
So what did you think?
I really enjoyed it.
I figured you would.
Took a few twists and such. There's some plot holes, but I think I kind of have the spackling to fill them with a little bit of wire mesh here and there.
It was definitely written by somebody who didn't have experience with law enforcement and which departments show up to bank robberies.
No, he was perfectly on.
All bank robberies are handled by the FBI.
Not in New York City. In New York City by charter has the specific jurisdiction to handle bank robberies. Because the FBI cannot get into New York City fast enough to make any impact. So therefore, the New York Police Department has jurisdiction and will call in under certain circumstances for FBI oversight and guidance. But otherwise, the New York City Police Department has jurisdiction on all bank robberies within the 5 boroughs.
That must be why in Dog Day Afternoon, the FBI shows up like maybe halfway through, and everyone's a little surprised. This movie has a ton indebted to Dog Day Afternoon.
It was written because the screenwriter actually was a lawyer.
Well, that's not all it's cracked up to be.
Well, maybe not.
Some lawyers aren't very creative.
You know what kind of law?
No, I don't. I would say that he had to have some background, at least at some point in time, in criminal defense. Otherwise, some of this stuff would not make any sense. There had to be something there that he would have had some knowledge of. But I did not check on that.
Even so, I thought this was a very good dad movie, which is why I put it on the list. It fit into a really niche spot in the calendar in this kind of March, April section that's usually a dead zone for us, particularly with anniversaries. There are not a lot of like big movies that come out in this point in the calendar, at least until like very recently. We started to get more and more movies released in this period around when it typically is the Oscars. But it's also kind of rare that we get, I think at this point, which is such a star-studded cast. Most times when you have one of these like really eclectic group casts, it's because they all got famous after the fact. For the most part, with the exception being maybe Chiwetel Ejiofor, all of these people were famous before the movie. Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer. Clive Owen had at least a few moments, and he already was in Children of Men, I think, earlier this year, or maybe it was later. Either way, he at least had been in some stuff. Denzel, of course. I don't know. It's kind of an interesting thing that Spike cast all of these people, and some of them are playing some very bit parts.
I imagine Clive Owen, this is the first thing he does after his Oscar nomination for Closer.
Okay.
I would imagine he gets cast in this opposite Denzel because of this.
Okay.
Things like Sin City were already in the bag. And True Intelligence, he'd been in some things. Kinky Boots was later this year. He'd been in, was it Dirty Pretty Things or what? Gosh, I'm drawing a blank on the name of that one, but he was an up and coming British actor, and he was very well respected in the British stage. And then obviously this is one of his first big American roles.
Well, in many ways, this is kind of like the peak of where he was the most popular in film, because again, we talked about Children of Men a little bit ago being the same year, and you talked about his Oscar nomination prior to that. So I think this is probably the pinnacle of where he's at in his Hollywood career, is right about this moment.
I wonder if Clive Owen and Chiwetel Ejiofor are buddies, because Chiwetel Ejiofor is also in Children of Men.
Yeah. I mean, he is somebody that I started to look at because he's been in 12 Years a Slave as well as Love Actually. How many movies of his that we've discussed? And it's only those 3, including this one. But I'm starting to slowly try and put together more and more people for our GMOT Hall of Fame. I did at least have somebody as of next week that will also be eligible for the Hall of Fame in a category that we have not yet had a nominee. So stay tuned for April. But that being said, it's hard for me to figure out who the actual antagonist in the film is. The way it's written, it feels like four-corner opposition, in that you have Christopher Plummer's character, you have Jodie Foster's character, you have Clive Owen, and you have Denzel. And all 4 are like interacting or intersecting in different ways during the course of the film, but you don't have the traditional protagonist-antagonist kind of roles. And so I think it creates a little bit of an interesting movie in that dynamic. But then you kind of, especially in the third act, I think even with the twist, it loses me a little bit.
The antagonist is clearly Christopher Plummer and by extension Jodie Foster, except you have to wait until 2/3 of the way through the film to realize it.
I mean, does it wait that long?
Yeah.
Because when she goes into the bank and he's talking to her about it, you kind of have already gotten enough of the hints, and I thought that was only about like 1/3 to 2/3.
Maybe. If you want to say that that's really what's going on. Because, all right, here's the thing that cements it for me. And this is where I came to the conclusion. They never really say how Clive Owen understood what was going on, knew about the box.
Mm-hmm.
What's the name of the film?
Inside Man.
Who's the inside man?
Well, technically it's referring to him being inside the bank yet after the robbery is done and everybody else is out.
It's only part of it. It's a double entente. My thought is that Clive Owen is somehow related to him. He's a stepson. He's somebody who worked for him, something like that, who had some knowledge of where to look and figure it out. And my guess is that at least the Chaim, the jeweler in the back, was a survivor of one of the camps and knew something about it. And they all got together, figuring out a way to bring him down.
My theory's always been, and we're jumping to one of your questions, Tom, but the Chaim who is one of the people at the end, sorry, spoiler for a 20-year-old movie, but he's one of the people at the end. I've always thought that Plummer got the ring appraised or something to him, and he was like, this is this incredibly rare, could have dated it potentially, and realized, hey, this guy's not on the level.
I mean, it's all possible. I find it hard to believe because I think it's mentioned somewhere that Dalton Russell is a former convict. And by extension, I think it would be very difficult for him to get into the employ or in some way connected enough with Case to at least know what's clearly a very deep, dark secret. And he knows exactly where to find. That's the part that isn't explained by Chaim knowing about the ring, is knowing what physical box, what deposit box it's in, because it's not even listed. So you would have had to have some very, very insider information.
We also don't know exactly how Clive Owen got into prison. It could very well have been Christopher Plummer's character turning him in, so he has a revenge factor. It's left nebulous so that you have to think about and come up with your own conclusions.
I just find that there are questions that I don't need answered, and then there are questions that I do. That to me is one where leaving it unanswered actually detracts from the movie for me, because it just leaves open way too many doors unexplained about this entire plot, and it doesn't give you that emotional payoff that you really are hoping for. Like if Dalton Russell has an axe to grind with a particular reason, I'd like to know that. If it's just like an opportunity, to me that's less effective, because the movie wants you to take what is the traditional antagonist and then shift that onto somebody else. But it wants you to do it without the catharsis needed to really pay that off. And to me, that's where my complaint in the third act really comes from.
Yeah. And the question I had, why would you hang on to the diamonds? One of the reasons why international smuggling and such uses diamonds as a currency, they're untraceable. Even gold bars, you can sometimes tell by the composition of it where it came from. Diamonds, you can't. Why would you keep all those diamonds in the safety deposit box? It's doing you no good.
I think that's the moment where Case says to himself, because he does say, he's like, I've dedicated the rest of my life to humanitarian causes. I think he holds on to the diamonds as a way to think, I'm not going to cash in on that. I'm not going to build my wealth anymore from this. I want to preserve whatever is left of my soul in some way.
Yeah, I think it's a pure guilt play that he holds on to it, because surrendering it would separate himself from the identity he wants to build for himself, that he's not really that bad.
I mean...
Well, people have compromised and come up with solutions to similar problems in much more convoluted fashions. I mean, think about the amount of headspace that Bernie Madoff had to entertain to think that he could pull off such a gigantic pyramid scheme, and it was somehow, he was still okay. He was a good guy.
I mean, the biggest grifter maybe in American history is currently in the White House and just racking in money.
But most of the great wealth of this country, or familiar wealth, has been established by...
Familial wealth?
Yeah.
You said familiar. I'm just clarifying.
Familial.
Familial.
All right. Anyway. All right. The Sacklers.
Okay.
The Rockefellers.
The Kennedys, the Trumps.
The Kennedys, to some extent. There were some other issues there. The Roosevelts. The Roosevelts made all their money off of opium trade in China.
Yeah, most ill-gotten gains, or most quote-unquote robber barons, got their money through questionable, at best, methodology during the course of history. Stanford, Duke University, yes. The Carnegies, the Rockefellers. I mean, they all did some very shady shit. You know, even the people that supposedly did it the right way created and then pushed out other businesses in competition in the name of, I want just a little bit more. So, yes, the lone exceptions might be the people that got rather quick or immediate wealth. The problem is that they pushed it even further. Like if Mark Zuckerberg stops in like 2010 and just says, I'm good with being an accidental billionaire and Facebook as it is, that's one thing. But by the time we get to 2016 and the election interference and now the algorithms pushing all of your weird uncle's conspiracy theory bullshit on you, you know, I can't say that his fortune was made well.
Well, and Zuckerberg's a great example, too, of he builds his wealth and then he says, you know what? I got to do something for the world. So he's like, I'm going to create a cattle farm in Hawaii that's like fully regenerative, fully sustainable, and try to live as green as possible, while also having a business that has these insane energy farms that need to create for all these data centers.
Well, he also wanted to give internet to the world, so Facebook became the browser for whole sections of the globe, only for it to also help stir up and foment what is the term? A genocide in Southeast Asia.
Yeah.
Great job. One which he has still yet to recognize that he was a part of. But,
Well,
potato,
selective
potato.
memory is one of the great traits, talents that many people have.
All of the people in power or with immense values of wealth seem to have a large amount of cognitive dissonance.
You have to, I think. You would have to.
Not to mention great big balls.
All I can suggest at this moment in time is that if you're not watching that moment in the YouTube channel, you really should.
Kind of uneven, too. Not really.
Well,
is it like a 6-7 problem?
It usually one side does hang lower than the other for almost every male.
That is true. I mean, I'm just thinking about myself, not like that I've looked at a bunch of brain in the locker room or anything. But
well, if you have, now is the perfect time to disclose it.
Wing low, chariot.
What the fuck? Where is this episode gone? This is definitely staying in. Okay, all right. Dan, do you have a plot summary ready for us?
Oh, yes, I do.
Wait, you never asked me about what my history with the movie.
Oh, all right, Peterson. To get it, I was just trying to change the subject.
No, just quick history, because I saw this opening weekend, either Friday or Saturday, maybe Sunday, with a group of friends. Went in and I was like, yeah, that's good. And then I've seen it basically every 5 years since. My wife, we put it on Monday night, and she was like, what's this about? I started saying it, and then like 5 minutes in, she's like, oh yeah, I remember this. This was fun. So I've got a long history with it, about as long as you can have. And I've always thought it's just a ton of fun.
All right, now, Dad, do you have our plot summary ready for us?
I do.
What?
I do.
Okay, Clouseau.
Inside Man follows a tense bank robbery in New York City that quickly becomes a battle of wits. Denzel Washington plays a sharp detective sent in to negotiate when a group of masked robbers, led by Clive Owen, take control of a crowded Manhattan bank. As the police try to understand the robbers' plan, the situation grows more complicated. A powerful banker, played by Christopher Plummer, secretly hires a smooth and mysterious fixer, played by Jodie Foster, to protect a dangerous hidden secret inside the bank.
Thank you, Dad. So what is the film about?
I think in many ways it's about the powerful creating stories for themselves and then the communication for everyone else trying to figure out how to essentially bring them down. So much of this film is about one little phrase or one little word somebody says that everyone's like, no, that's not it. This isn't right. It's the Grand Central Station versus the Grand Central Terminal. All these kind of little minute details that break communication down, and they can let the powerful off the hook. They can let the powerful live these lives of kind of unfettered, power.
I think it's really about the compromises it takes for true multi-generational wealth to occur, and how it's so caught up in mysterious circumstances and such. I mean, I finished an audiobook a while ago on The Arsenal of Democracy was the name of the book, and it was in large part about the Ford Motor Company. Henry Ford had a fixer. Etzel was having a problem with some guy following his kid, or because they're worried. This is right about the time, or not long after the kidnapping of the Lindbergh baby. And so every wealthy industrialist was worried, and somebody was hanging around too close. And Etzel said something to his dad's fixer. Well, 3 days later, that guy shows up dead in the river. And apparently this fixer was very common. And Henry Ford knew well about what kinds of things he was doing in order to protect his financial interests. And the book talks about that in great detail. So it's not uncommon. I think that's ultimately what the story is about. What exactly is going on in these circumstances, and what the hidden nugget that everybody has that's ultimately starts or generates their wealth.
You're sounding mysteriously like a Illuminati YouTube channel right now. The wealthy and the powerful just have people killed all the time. This is how all the crap with the Clintons got started.
It was in the book. It's researched. They had citations.
Yeah, okay, that's fine. If you want to quote the book and what the book says, that's one thing. But then you're extrapolating and saying it's common all the time for wealthy families to have fixers that just bump people off. Okay. I'm glad that we're doing reckless speculation on this show.
Unfortunately, my uncles are gone, so we don't have that in our family.
Yes, your uncle that... Ronnie, I gotta get out of town. Can you hide me?
Yeah, hey, you know that the Sicilian pizzeria downtown got torched over the weekend? Yeah. He says, well, I was supposed to do it, and I said no. Now it's burned down, and they're looking for me. I need to get out of town. Okay, Phil.
Anyway, Dina's colorful family aside, the movie to me boils down to, I don't think there's nearly as much story as I think both of you do. To me, it's a very plot-heavy film with not a lot of story to it. And so if I were to give this kind of a background reading of what I think it's about, it's there's no honor among thieves. Essentially, you have one major thief stealing from another major thief. That's all.
And your supposed good guy has the $140,000 wiped clean again, and he ends up with a diamond in his pocket at the end of the story. And it's like, I assume he's probably gonna go cash it,
or put it in a ring for his fiance,
or put his ring for a fiance. Yeah,
it'd be one hell of a ring, because that was at least a 1 carat, if not 3 or 4 carat diamond.
So it's everyone's hands are dirty into this.
Well, and he also leverages the opportunity to better himself for his own career.
Yeah.
And gets the charge thrown out. So there's a whole lot there that is not necessarily clean. All right. Did you know the scene in the coffee shop was improvised? On the DVD commentary, Spike Lee states that when Denzel Washington ad-libbed the line, "I'll bet you can get a cab, though," he nearly ruined the take by laughing so loud at Washington's line. Did you know the scene in which the boy shows Dalton the video game he is playing on his PSP was not in the original script? Director Spike Lee added it to make a comment on gangster rap's infatuation with violence. Quote unquote. The game is not real, but was created by an animation house. You can definitely tell. Lee asked them to come up with the animation for the most violent game ever. So let's take GTA and then let's exponentially blow it up that the only way to get points is to kill everybody.
It's not that much more violent than GTA, though.
It's really not, but it's basically taking that as the baseline and then just ramping it up slightly.
I mean, the grenade in the mouth is a little crazy. But... And also,
yeah.
it is pretty impressive that Clive Owen just grabs it and he's like, I know exactly what to do. He kills the guy. He puts a grenade in his mouth. Like he immediately knows what to do.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good way for truth extraction.
So call him the dentist?
The Tooth Fairy.
Yeah. Okay. Did you know The pizza that the police give to the robbers has the name Sal's, a reference to one of Spike Lee's earlier films, Do the Right Thing.
I didn't catch that one, but yeah.
Yeah, that's a very famous, like, small Easter egg for a lot of people.
I didn't catch the box. I would have been like, oh, well. I would have caught the reference. But
Did you know? According to an interview with Spike Lee, Ron Howard was originally going to direct the film, but Russell Crowe showed him the script for Cinderella Man, and Howard went off to do that instead. And the rest was history.
Ron just decided between two dad movies, really.
Yeah. I mean, I rewatched Cinderella Man 2 years ago for a show that shall remain nameless on this program, but it's not that bad. You know, going back to it, it's not a film I'd seen in a long time, but all things considered, it's a decent film.
I find it quite affecting. I think it's a really good film, and I think Crowe's fantastic, Zellweger's good. I love the Thomas Newman score just rips.
Yeah.
And Paul Giamatti just give me that guy and everything. He could have been in this. Why wasn't he in this? He could have been like 15.
He could have been a cop in this very
He could have been
easily.
anybody in this.
He would have been great as the mayor.
Yeah, that's true.
He could have been the fixer, the mayor. He could have been Denzel.
He does a
anybody.
really good job at being able to play smarmy. Or as Dana puts it, swarmy. Anyway, did you know? Jodie Foster's Madeline White character was based on a real-life fixer, a French man known for problem-solving and negotiations at the highest levels of both American and international conflict. He once described his job this way: if you have a problem, first you call the police. If they can't help you, you call the FBI. And if they can't help you, then you call me. Did you know? Marsha Jean Kurtz played a similar role as a hostage in Dog Day Afternoon, and Lionel Pena, who delivered pizza to the beleaguered hostages here, also performed the same task in the earlier film. I also noticed that in taking on this movie, Spike Lee wanted to do it specifically because he has said Dog Day Afternoon is one of his favorite films of all time, and so he wanted to kind of put his own spin on it. So with that, we will take our first break, and we'll be right back. Before we jump back into the episode, next week for our 305th episode, we discuss the indie darling Memento from 2001, celebrating its 25th anniversary. Written and directed by Christopher Nolan, cinematography by Wally Pfister, music by David Julian, editing by Dodie Dom, starring Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano. You won't want to miss that one, so watch ahead of the show by searching the Real Good app to find where it's streaming for you. That's REELGOOD. Before we get too much further, let's check in with our guest, Peterson. What is going on with you? What are you working on? And where can people find you?
So, not much I'm working on at the moment. Been very, very hectic with life, so haven't been doing too much. Obviously, I'll be back here, in June? So yeah, check out the back catalog here, and it works out to midnight.
Sounds good. When are you guys firing back up?
We were talking today. We were throwing memes back at each other. We were one day. We're always talking about it.
Okay. Have you caught the newest episodes of First Watch Rewatch yet?
I have not. I didn't listen to First Watch Rewatch yet, but I listened to the V for Vendetta episode this morning.
There you go.
And yeah, I'm going to jump in. I know it's West Wing, right? So
It's the first season, yes.
Okay.
And we're covering about 3 episodes per time we talk about it. So there's about the first 6 episodes of season 1 on there for the first 2 episodes that were released. But I was just thinking overall, and this isn't something we've generally discussed, but I, at some point, would envision that we'll have guests on for that. And given your lack of show with your other cohorts, I just have a feeling that you're going to jump on some other programs. So
yeah, I'm always free to jump on, and the West Wing's that for those first couple seasons are the best. They're so good. Oh my God, Martin Sheen is just extraordinary. I mean, that whole cast is just.
And just because I know that she's not listening, so Sarah, and part of the conceit of this is very much like a I've never seen it kind of theory where she hasn't seen it, I have. So it's a rewatch for me. It's a first watch for her.
Yeah.
Obviously, the name of the show. I am waiting because we're supposed to switch up after the first season, and the first season ends on that cliffhanger with the whole shooting. And I know she's not listening to this right now, so thank goodness for that. But making her change up, and I'm not allowing her to watch season 2 until we get back to it on the show. She's going to be so mad at me.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
That's and yeah, I think that's a real cliffhanger too. Where when it came
That's
out,
the network TV cliffhangers back in the day.
you're like you got to give people the itch to come back. That's kind of why The Night Manager, really season 2. I don't know if you've seen it yet, but season 2 ends on a huge cliffhanger.
Okay. I haven't gotten all the way through it yet. I think I'm in episode 2 or something.
Yeah, huge cliffhanger, and I was like, God, this feels like 25 years ago network TV, where it's like we gotta pump people. And obviously, you didn't have 25 episodes like 25 years ago. It was what, 6? But part of the thing, and I think Blake Check was talking about this a couple of days ago. They were like, man, those are the days with network TV where it was like you have 25 episodes. 7 are like certifiably great. 6 are like, they're going to the grocery store too many times and it's annoying. And then the rest are just kind of like middling fun.
Yeah, but there's at least like a nice continuous plot, and you just enjoy hanging out with the characters.
Yeah.
And that's
great
to me, more than anything, the death of the sitcom. You can't sustain a sitcom on like 10 or 12 episodes terribly well. I mean, yes, Bill Lawrence is really trying to hold on to that with Ted Lasso and Shrinking and now Rooster and all of these other shows. But the death of the sitcom has pretty much come and gone with the fact that there's no network television to pump these out at such a pace. Because you need to have that level of episode to develop the rapport with a cast to make it make sense.
I think, Ted Lasso season 1 is, I think, so skilled and adept, and then it just gets progressively worse. Whereas Shrinking, I'm like, these are 3 great seasons. I've not watched yesterday's episode yet because I had to finish Inside Man, but I'm like, Shrinking is just, it's fantastic.
It starts with a funeral. I'll say that much.
Really? Maya? I don't think, she can't be gone. Maybe she is.
There's a lot of fallout from that. That's all I'll say. So, anywho, actually, there's also a lot of fallout in other areas of that episode from last week's episode. So, it's very interconnected.
Wait, last week's was that the first one Bergen was on?
Yes.
Okay.
But she's not in this one.
But pulling her in for the mother-in-law was just
It's
such great casting.
When she talks about him coming out with the pompadour, and just the way he's like, "Thanks, Mom." He gets so excited about his hair, like, yeah.
Well, I think people would appreciate us getting back to the movie, maybe.
Yes. Sure.
Okay, so
Or not.
we left off at best performance. Dad, who do you have down?
I have Spike Lee. I was just mesmerized by some of the shot angles, some of the cinematography, some of the way it was shot, how he set it up. I thought it was really great directing.
I was having a really difficult time with selections in these categories. I kind of defaulted to Russell Gewertz as the writer because I think this is a very plot-heavy movie. And so if it works for you at all, it's having to do with the twists and turns and some of the dialogue and such that is written into the script. So I kind of defaulted there, but I have my criticisms of Spike in this movie, particular when we go to the cut scenes of all of the interviews. It's done in such a haphazard fashion that it doesn't make sense. Yes, I know there are the people out there that I don't like the movies that are really hand-holdy, and when they cut between stuff, they have to explain everything and do the file scene. Yes, I get you. I understand. I don't need hand-holding. But it could have been at least like a small throwaway line of something. It took like the third interview for me to figure out what the fuck was going on. That's not good filmmaking. If you don't want to be hand-holdy, that's fine. But at least somewhere in there, show to me that this is supposed to be after the bank robbery is done.
I think the cinematic language of it tells you the film stock is different. Clearly, it's the detectives interviewing people. It feels like that. I mean, at least to me.
We're very experienced as an audience now where, like, Christopher Nolan's done this in a few different films. We're going to be covering one next week, Memento, that switches back and forth between color and black and white perspectives. He did the same thing in Oppenheimer. So it's not, like, unusual that Spike Lee uses a much darker and fuzzier image for those interview moments or shots. So, like, I got that it was supposed to be different and separated, but it took me out of the movie a bit to try and figure out where in the timeline this all was. And the one shot that I really have a problem with through the entire thing is why the hell is Denzel Washington on a Segway, like, running towards the bank? That was such a weird moment.
Oh, you're not familiar with the double dolly shot. Okay. That is the famous Spike Lee double dolly shot. He's used it. He uses it in 25th Hour. That, I mean, it's a very famous thing he does, and it's supposed to mimic the chaos of the character. I mean, having been a Spike guy for a while, that's just part of it. It's where you're going to get with him.
Okay. Well, I mean, I haven't watched enough Spike movies to really appreciate all of this. Like, I think I've watched 2.5, and one of them is this film, so he doesn't do it and do the right thing. Yeah, 2.5.
What's the half?
Malcolm X. I started it for like the first hour and didn't finish.
Okay.
I'm missing the first 5 minutes of Black Klansman.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry. I did see Black Klansman, so it's 3.5. But that also, I don't remember there being a double dolly shot in Black Klansman.
There is. I just can't remember where it is. I know for a fact there is.
Is it with the point where they put the bomb in the mailbox?
It's been a while since I've seen it. It wasn't that like 2017, 2018?
I think it's 2018, yeah.
Yeah. I don't think I saw it only the one time, and I haven't revisited it at all. So I suppose at some point it should be worth a watch. But
I should revisit it because it's great. And yeah, I love that film.
Yeah, it was a decent film for what it was trying to accomplish. Like, I'm glad Spike finally won an Oscar for it. But, okay. But even so, I haven't seen most of the big, more adventurous, artistic Spike stuff.
And you're not doing 25th Hour next year for the 25th, are you?
That is correct. We're not doing it. See, the thing is the movies that I have, like, heard of and have name recognition, unless I, like, force them on Dana, he has no name recognition of half of these, so he's going to be like, no, I've never heard of that, so that's a 3.
You gave me the...
Yes, if you want to go back and watch our entire list of the things that I gave Dana during our holiday period, there is a live episode where we chose what was going to be on next season. The entire list or the entire schedule is already done. I think Peterson signed up for like 7.
I think I had more than that, actually.
You might.
I just said, hey, this is the list, and give me whatever you want. And you're like, nobody else has signed up for most of these, so it's all yours.
Yep. Well, I waited until the last thing so that you could basically sweep in with whatever else that you wanted. So, all right. And start counting now. You're supposed to be on Nosferatu. You're supposed to be on the revisit of E.T. You're supposed to be on the revisit of Unforgiven. On the revisit of Superbad. On Ikiru. You're on Titanic. You're on Lady Bird. And that's it. So how many is that?
I thought it was one more I signed up for after the fact because you need somebody else for a best picture that nobody picked. All the King's Men?
That's still open. I didn't know that you had tried to sign up for that, but yeah, we're still missing.
Be on because
sure,
I've saw it and I don't have nearly the revulsion that Tom has.
Yeah, it's been my dead last of Best Picture rankings for all 5 years that my list has been produced. So we do not have anybody currently scheduled for The Deer Hunter, Lahain, Come and See, The Castle, which is our favorite to our super fan from Australia. We don't have anybody scheduled for The Pride of the Yankees, All the King's Men, Tom Jones, although, to be fair, I don't think anybody wants to subject themselves to that. We don't have anybody for Harakiri. We don't have anybody for The Revisit of Good Will Hunting. We don't have anybody for Lawrence of Arabia.
I'll take a look at this tomorrow.
So, just putting that out there, but all right. Anyway, so who was your best performance, Peterson?
So I'm going to be with Dana. I think it's Spike Lee. I think this script, which, sure, Russell Gurwitz, or Gerwitz, however you say it, he might have penned the first draft of this thing. Spike had to have come in here and done some rewrites, because the guy has written, the next movie is Righteous Kill with De Niro and Pacino, which is horrendous. And then his most recent movie is it's called Inside Man 2, or Inside Man, like the sequel, that he just wrote and has nothing to do with Spike Lee, Denzel. So I don't think he's got much up his sleeve. But I think Spike directs the hell out of this thing. And he turns what could be a pretty simple script, and he just is obsessed with his themes of power, corruption, of all corrupting power. And it's got to be Spike.
All right. And best secondary performances, I already gave mine with Spike Lee, so what did you guys have?
Good, Dana.
I have Denzel.
Yeah, lockstep. Denzel.
It's not his best performance. I mean, I know a lot of people like Training Day. I'm sorry, I still love him in those stupid Equalizer films. I think he is so
as his
good
best
in those.
performance.
It's some of his best work. He just comes across as being so nonchalant, doesn't care. He just kind of, I don't know.
You are leaning heavy into the dad films here. It is.
I guess.
I cannot.
The Equalizer films are good fun, but they are not his best acting work. Come on.
Well, the thing about Denzel is that he could take the dumbest, simplest line of dialogue and make it so fucking entertaining.
That's why I have him for most charismatic here. Like, as the cop and the central figure, half the reason for watching the movie is just to follow him and what he's going to do.
Yeah.
And, like, there's lines that nobody would read like him. Like, when he says his name after he's going to get the promotion, he's like, Detective Keith Fraser! And it's like, no other actor would do that. Nobody would have that kind of courage.
Yeah, there's no spirit. There's no extra, like, confidence in this part. If you put any other just straight white actor into the middle of this film doesn't work anywhere near what it does with him in this film. Like, he gives it an extra oomph.
Imagine switching Willem Dafoe and Denzel. Dafoe, I mean, look, and I love Dafoe.
But Dafoe has always been a career side piece character actor. Like, he is not a leading guy.
But he gets all kinds of freak out there. He can be a dang ass freak, and he can make things really entertaining that aren't. But this kind of role, he's going to come to it and just be pretty straight by the number. And Denzel certainly is that, but he finds a way in every single role he has to give it that little bit of mustard, a little bit of paprika,
but
to spice it up a little bit.
Let's take some of the major actors from this moment in time, okay? So this is like the first peak of both Leo and Matt Damon around the time of The Departed, because it's the same year. You put either of them in this role, it's completely unfit for either of them. Like, neither of them has the ability to take the certain charisma or the expert, like, confidence level that he has and lay it on thick, but without making it hammy. I think even if you put in, like, a Jamie Foxx in this role, who had just been off of his Oscar win for Ray 2 years prior. I think he overplays this role. Like, Denzel's got this ability to ham it up in certain spots, but never go quite too far that it feels unbelievable.
Yeah, he perfectly calibrates every performance he does. I mean, Denzel's, is he the best movie star ever? Just like movie star. I'm not talking actor. Just like,
he's certainly in the running.
If Denzel were a pitcher, he would be Greg Maddux. A guy that does not throw fastballs, but has the ability to change speeds on pitches and hit locations.
But the thing is with Denzel, he excels with really trashy stuff, like when he doesn't have it. And sometimes the more refined roles, the higher brow roles, like, I don't really believe him as much. Like, there's some stuff in there where I just... So when he kind of dips down into the gunk a little bit, I think of him more as who's like an expert junk ball pitcher. Like Curt Schilling, and I hate to put it...
No, because Curt Schilling threw in the mid-'90s. No,
I understand,
Maddux
but
was the junk ball pitcher. That's why I said it.
Greg Maddux wasn't exactly a junk ball pitcher. He was a changeup expertise. Like, he was very meticulous and exacting. That's why I don't think that it makes sense. But I also don't want to make Denzel Jamie Moyer either. Like, that feels like it's doing him a disservice. But Curt Schilling used to throw that split-fingered fastball. And he used to throw like 5 different pitches. That's part of the reason that I went with him. But anyway, maybe this is an area where we probably needed Kieran on to like correct us on who's the proper junk ball pitcher of the era to compare Denzel to, because we're not coming up with it. Anyway, I'm sure on his next Home Depot visit, he'll write me and tell me who it was supposed to be.
Dana, do you remember what the Home Depot ripoff that Denzel works at in The Equalizer is? What's the name of it?
No, I don't remember offhand.
It might be like Lobby Home or something. It's like...
This is so sad that we're bringing up The Equalizer this much. I mean, yes, he takes those Antoine Fuqua movies and he makes them into something, but like, let's also not forget that he had a really disastrous Magnificent Seven version.
He's not the problem with that.
Yeah, I don't remember and it doesn't say on Wikipedia, so we're just going to have to let that go.
Homework.
Anyway, can we actually stay on task any time tonight? Okay. Most charismatic for either of you when Dana's not hacking up along?
For me, I'm going Clive Owen. I think he is really, really good here. I think he is a great foil to Denzel, who's all kind of gusto. I think Clive Owen is so still and so calculated in this, he's impossible to take your eyes off of him.
For me, it's Jodie Foster. There's a line in here that I thought about using, but then again, I didn't want to because it is a word that every woman hates.
Yes, we all know about See You Next Tuesday.
Yeah. And she was perfect at it.
She did one thing really well in this very limited part. She could smile at you and stick the knife between your ribs at the same time, which is exactly what the character calls for.
When they have that conversation at the window, her and Denzel, and he's just like, I can't remember the exact line he says, but he's like, you are making me hate you even more as you're smiling at me, basically, and like being nice to me. Yeah, she's great in this.
All right, let's move to Best Scene then. I have 5 nominees here. I have Hold Up, which is kind of the first initial scene where they're holding up the bank. Then I have Madeline White, which is her kind of introduction and her coming in to kind of rescue and save the day. Then I have Frasier Inside, which is the moment where Denzel actually goes into the bank. I have the raid itself, which is when the police go into the bank and then discover that they've been had and all of the other things that kind of like explain the dialogue and the plot and everything that goes along with this. And then the epilogue, which is probably the last 20 to 30 minutes of the movie as they're kind of like debriefing and explaining everything and then basically clearing up all of the loose ends. So did you guys have any others to nominate here?
Yeah, I think when Denzel figures out, hey, they've been listening to us this entire time. Don't go like that. That's where I'd start the raid. I just want to clarify, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
Yeah,
Then,
I think that all is encompassing because of the moment it happens. It like directly leads into that, so I'm not going to skimp over it.
Okay, and then the other thing I would add is, I think when they do kill the person, well, quote unquote, kill the person, and Denzel, the thing you hate, the double dolly, and he gets up there and he's like, what is going on? He's like, what's happening? He's like, this isn't a bank robbery. Like, what's going on? I love that little 3 minutes.
Dad, anything to add?
I did not.
Okay. So for best scene, we have Hold Up, Madeline White, Frasier Inside, Hostage Assassination, Raid, and Epilogue. What is the best scene?
I think I'm probably going to go the Raid, because the way that Spike lays out the information piece by piece and just lets you kind of put it together, you're like, what's going on here? Like, the guns aren't real. like everything, just nothing seems right. And the way we've been in that bank the entire time. We had no idea the guns weren't real, or at least I didn't. So that way he doles out the information, I think, is just beautiful.
I would agree. I have Raid actually for best scene, favorite scene, and most indelible moment, because in a movie that I find to be so plot heavy, this is the central point that ties everything together. You have to have all the rising action coming into it, then that scene kind of has to change things up and twist it on a dime so that you can get into the final moments of the epilogue. It is the most pivotal point for me in the entire film if this movie works for you at all.
Well, for me, the favorite scene is Madeline White because...
Well, we're on best scene yet, which you haven't given.
Well, it's Raid.
Okay. So 3 for 3. All right, now your favorite scene.
Is Madeline White, simply because the character itself is just so memorable to me. And I've known people that are somewhat like this. Not nearly to this level, obviously, but still.
I think I'm going to go the epilogue, kind of the last maybe 15 minutes, where everything's kind of getting pieced together, and it's all the moral compromises are starting to really come to the fore, and every character in that little 15 minutes is put through some kind of moral crucible. So yeah, I love the ending.
I have Epilogue as my most indelible. I love the scene with Christopher Plummer. And it's true. Wanted to see how far his foot was up his ass.
Fair enough. Peterson, your most indelible?
Yeah, I'm probably going to go the same. I'm probably going to go the epilogue. And if I'm Denzel, I'm having a glass of that whiskey, whatever it is. Because you know it's probably like a quarter of his salary for the year.
Yeah.
Probably. And if there's anybody that probably knows what that whiskey was and cost, it's probably that guy.
It was in a carafe. It wasn't in a bottle.
I understand, but whiskey guys are whiskey guys. So.
Yeah, I always remember the story my daughter told me because she was Sand Valley Golf Course is a exclusive course, and there was a mastermind group of CEOs and FCOs who meet from various insurance companies, and they had an order, and the guy bought a $600 bottle of scotch to have it delivered there. And so he came out, he poured himself a glass, had one, poured half another glass, then put the cap back in, got up, said to my daughter who was serving the table, and says, well, if you want to share that with the rest of the staff, go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah, I would not be shocked if that was a very high-end bottle of Pappy Van Winkle.
I was thinking it was scotch. He seems like a scotch man to me.
Okay, so we'll up that even further then.
And this is before bourbon really took off.
Fair enough. So that looks like a good spot for our second break. We'll be right back. Before we jump back into the episode, and before we get to the Stanley Rubric in a minute, if you're ever curious about our Master Greatest Movies of All Time list that has every graded movie we've ever discussed on the show, there's a link in the episode description of every episode of this show, or you can go to RonnieDuncanStudios.com and find it as the top entry on the Greatest Movie of All Time podcast show page. That has the grades we've done so far for all 275 movies we've graded, and we continue to add more each week. Make sure to check that out as we go and follow along. Dad, do we have anyone to remember this week?
Yes. Matt Clark, 89. American actor, In the Heat of the Night, The Outlawed Josie Wales, The Jeff Foxworthy Show. Judy Pace, 83. American actress, Peyton Place, The Young Lawyers, Brian's Song.
Unfortunately, I really don't remember either of these actors for any of their attributions here. I mean, I think I last watched Brian's Song when I was in 4th grade. So we're going like 25 years ago, I think.
And I have seen Peyton Place. I'm sure I saw at least an episode of the Jeff Foxworthy Show.
I saw Brian's Song when it was first on network TV in about like 1974 or 5. Ended up crying like hysterically when I was a kid because it just was so sad. Football player dying.
Well, I mean, it is a very touching, moving movie from what I can remember 25 years ago. Now, the only thing sadder would have been if it made you a Bears fan.
No, there's no chance of that.
Yeah. Don't chase bad money with good. Anyway.
I actually have a Brian Piccolo football card.
Wait, because it's been probably 20, 30 years since I've seen it too. Does Khan die or does...
No, it's Khan.
Khan dies, okay.
Yeah, Billy D. Williams does not die. He goes into the Hall of Fame.
Okay.
Anyway, so we commemorate these here fondly for their contributions with a moment of silence in their honor. Thank you. All right, let's move to best funniest lines. I don't think there's... Well, actually, there are some funny lines here because of the way that Denzel reads them, but I will start with Dalton Russell. I'm no martyr. I did it for the money, but it's not worth much if you can't face yourself in the mirror. Respect is the ultimate currency. I was stealing from a man who traded his away for a few dollars, and then he tried to wash away his guilt. Drown it in a lifetime of good deeds and a sea of respectability. It almost worked, too. But inevitably, the further you run from your sins, the more exhausted you are when they catch up to you. And they do. Certain, it will not fail.
Dalton Russell. This time next week, I'll be sucking down pina coladas in a hot tub with girls named Amber and Tiffany. Keith Frazier. More like taking a shower with 2 guys named Jamel and Jesus, if you know what I mean. And here's the bad news. That thing you'll be sucking on, it's not a pina colada.
You don't read it with enough verve there.
Then you'll be sucking on a pina colada.
Okay, sorry. I don't want to pretend that I have coolness.
Well, that's quite apparent, but all right.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I'm a white-haired old guy.
Madeline White. Well, detective, there are matters at stake here that are a little above your pay grade. No offense. Keith Frazier. Well, why don't you just tell the mayor to raise my pay grade to the proper level and problem solved.
Vikram Walia. Fucking tired of this shit. What happened to my fucking civil rights? Why can't I go anywhere without being harassed? Get thrown out of bank. I'm a hostage. I get harassed. I go to the airport. I can't go through security without a random selection. Fucking random my ass. Keith Frazier. I bet you can get a cab, though. Vikram Walia. I guess that's one of the perks.
Keith Frazier, come on. Let's go down the street to the bar. I'll buy you a drink. Dalton Russell. Thanks, but I'm trying to stay away from bars right now, if you know what I mean.
Dalton Russell. Fact is, all lies, all evil deeds, they stink. You can cover them up for a while, but they don't go away.
My last one. Keith Frazier. All right, I've got them where I want them. Detective Bill Mitchell. Where's that? Keith Frazier. Right behind me with my pants around my ankles. But it's a start.
Madeline White. You know, there's a famous saying by the Baron de Rothschild: when there's blood in the streets, buy property.
I'm out.
I'd be out too.
Okay.
I'm done.
Then let's move to the Stanley rubric. Legacy is up first. This is a measure of the legacy of the film approximately 5 years after it came out to today. So roughly 2011 to today. What is the legacy of this movie as shared between two equal yet separate groups? The industry and the audience, 5 and 5 points apiece for a total of 10. Dad, would you like to go first or second here?
I'll go second.
I think when you think of Denzel movies, this movie does not come up very often. When you think of Spike Lee movies, this doesn't come up very often. It has a decent cast, but is this something that people are like actively seeking? It doesn't have cult following status. Within the industry, it's just kind of forgotten. It's one of those movies that's thrown up on multiple different streaming services at once for the most part. And I think people enjoy it as like a cable movie, but that's probably the majority of the legacy. So because it was not like a huge hit, there was never any follow-up, and people just kind of moved on, I'm going to say this is a 2 for the industry, but I think it's a 4 for the public. Based on our office poll, yes, Kieran, we did it again, there were enough people that at least knew of the movie, had seen the movie, talked glowingly about the movie, and for the most part, it was all the like 40-year-old dads in the audience that knew of this movie. So I'm going to give that a 4. I have a 6.
All right. Industry, I'll agree with your 2. I don't see much else for it. And for the public, you know, sure, there's been some people that have seen it, but I had never even heard of it.
That's not a barometer of anything. We've already proven on multiple different levels. This period of time from about 1990 to about 2010, you have a very large hole.
Yeah, I know. It's called raising a family and building a practice.
You see
So-
this? This is my violin playing for you right now.
Oh.
You know, because
Yeah,
as
okay.
Peterson is here, and as many of our guests have children and still get to the theater and still consume mass amounts of movies, no one has any sympathy.
Okay, good. I'm glad.
Mm-hmm.
Walk in my shoes and we'll see. But anyway,
Well, I suppose none of them had me for a son, so that's in your favor there.
yeah. Anyway, I'm at a 2.5 for the public. So I'm at a 4.5 overall. I don't think this has had a big resonance. Yeah, there's people that have seen it maybe. And I don't say it's just dad films, because I did a look back and see who commented on it. And we had a few people who are more cinephiles, Kira being one of them, who's, what is she, at 30, 31?
I don't know. I don't guess women's age. I know that's one of the 3 things that you never guess or ask about from women: weight, age, and pregnancy status.
Well,
Just
there's a
never do
fourth,
it.
But they violated it in this movie quite often, which is cup size.
Once is quite often.
A couple
And-
of times they were talking about it.
I only remember the one time.
At least there's a lot of staring.
Well, okay. I mean, that happens a lot in real life, so.
So I am, this is the kind of perfect, it's not a home run, but it's a stand-up triple. It's a solid film, and I think the industry, you got Jodie Foster, Christopher Plummer, Chiwetel Ejiofor, Denzel Washington, Willem Dafoe, Clive Owen. It's the kind of film that has a stellar cast that, it certainly helps all of their careers, because it makes a decent amount of money. It's not a world beater, but it makes a good amount of money. People see it. It certainly raises the tide for, probably Denzel, Chiwetel, and Clive Owen. Plummer and Foster we put aside, and Defoe's not in it quite enough to really do much for him. But I mean, it's the kind of perfect film that, we don't really make much of anymore. It's not a mid-budget. I mean, it's definitely a high-budget film, but it's, this today would be either $200 million and be all explosions, or it'd be $10 million and go straight to Netflix. So this is that kind of invisible field now that we had 20 years ago that I really miss. So I think industry-wise, I'm going to go with 3. And then general public, I'm going to go to 4. I think people saw this at the time, and then they remember it, and I think remember it fondly and continue to go back to it. So yeah, I'm going 4 and 3, so 7.
So that is a 5.83 average between the 3 of us. Moving on to impact and significance. This is a measure of the impact and significance among the same 2 groups that we did for the last category, but it's in the initial 5 years. So roughly 2006 to 2011. What is the impact and significance of this film as shared between the industry and the audience? Again, 5 and 5 points apiece for a total of 10. On this one, this didn't have awards attention. I think it's appropriate.
Excuse me.
What?
I go first.
Why would you? Okay, fine.
You went first on the last one.
I'm also the host, so I can dictate how as I see fit, but sure, fine, you can go.
That's fine. Go ahead. Go right ahead. Please.
Since you have
Provide us your wisdom.
Since you have taken the show hostage here in your little pity party.
I'm not doing anything, so go ahead, continue.
No awards attention, but it does promulgate the primary stars in this movie. This is probably the tail end of the, leading lady kind of era for Jodie Foster. This is after Panic Room, and she hadn't really done anything else. She kind of makes her transition to directing probably about this time and place. Christopher Plummer, I think this is a little bit towards his resurgence, right before he wins the Oscar a few years later for Beginners. Denzel, this is in a peak moment for him. I would say the same with Clive Owen, where it's kind of capitalizing on their star power of the moment. I think if this is 2 years later, it's somebody other than Clive Owen, but fair enough. And it's got a bunch of decent character actors that surrounds the rest of the film, whether it's James Ransone or we're talking about Wisconsin's own Willem Dafoe. So I think it's a well-rounded cast, but ultimately because of the success of the film finishing in the 20s, I think this is a decent public film, but I'm going to give it a 3.5 in the industry, again, because of its general box office success and the fact that, at least for a few years, they were discussing a pre-production to do a sequel or something else to capitalize on the success of the film, even if it did fizzle out. And I think Spike probably rolled this into his next couple of movies, at least. Yes, I have a successful box office, bank-worthy film among my oeuvre to promote here, and Denzel, the same thing, where he'd at least had a string of these that you could say are B movies, but fairly entertaining, that are decent box office draws to get him some additional money for any of the other projects he wanted to do. On a public standpoint, again, in the 20s, that's not going to be nearly high enough for a 4. It's probably not even for a 4.5, but I think it's moderately, with the attention and the rentals and the rest of it rolled in, I would say that you probably have a 4 on your hands there, so I'm at a 7.5.
Okay.
All right, you good now to drop whatever it is that you felt was needing to lead off?
I'm so laid back. Peterson, would you like to go next?
Sure, I'll take it away.
All right,
I'll take
feel
it away.
free.
So yeah, I think, Tom, you're onto something with this being the cast. I think 2 years later, maybe 3 years later, Clive Owen's probably not your guy. Maybe 4, but this was right when he gets his Oscar nomination. They're trying to make him a leading man. And I think some of those go really well. I think this is probably the best he is at leading man territory. I think he's really good here. Obviously, Denzel, this is the same year. Later this year, he's directing The Great Debaters, which got some awards attention. Didn't get nominated for anything, but Glenn Powell's in it. Obviously, Chiwetel Ejiofor rises his ship. And then the very next film Spike Lee makes after this feature length. He's always doing something, but he makes Miracle at St. Anna, which is a 3-hour World War II epic. A movie I do not really care for. I don't think that movie really works very well. But I think because of the cachet he gets from making this film, he then gets his blank check to say, oh, let's make your 3-hour World War II film with almost no action and kind of an incomprehensible plot that starts in the 1980s and then flashes back to World War II. I think also starts with a bank heist, if I remember correctly. But so yeah, I think that certainly industry-wise really helps this in the initial 5 years. I'm going to give it a 4 there. And the general public, I think the same thing. I think this was a really hot movie, and especially for an R-rated film. Yes, it was in the 20s for box office, but that is an R-rated film. Adults went to go see this movie. It's not like it's Iron Man when you can take you, your wife, and your 2 kids. This is a date night movie. This is, adults going to see it. So I think a 4 for those initial 5 years too. So yeah, give me an 8.
So that'll be a 7.75 between the two of us, since somebody's over on their nonchalant corner.
Oh, is it my turn now?
No, we're just going to skip right over you.
Okay.
This is great podcasting.
Oh, you said you were skipping over me. Sorry, I guess I didn't understand. Well, anyway. Industry, I'm at a 3. I think it did give a little bit of juice, but again, not a huge boost. And I think the public did enjoy the film when it was released, and it did have a nice bump up on rentals. This is about the time, if you remember, we saw Christopher Plummer on the stage in New York.
That was a couple of years later.
Was it that far?
It was like
later?
2010, so it was like right before he won his Oscar.
I didn't think it was that far later.
It was that far later. Because we didn't go to New York until it was Annie Marika, and that was spring of 2010, summer 2010, somewhere in that range.
No, because it was.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was Simon and.
No, that was the Miami trip.
Okay. Well, anyway, we saw him and Brian Dennehy do Inherit the Wind.
Yes. But that was also the same trip where we went to D.C. and Mom led us on a 16-mile hike through the national malls.
That was with Shrunya, wasn't it?
No, we had gone to D.C. before that with Sarunya and Malta, but that was 2005.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. That day I had 21,000 steps.
Yeah.
So the next year is Inherit the Wind revival with Plummer. Okay. God, Dennehy and Plummer, that'd be good.
Mm-hmm. It was good.
Got to meet Dennehy. Was waiting around for Plummer, but he ended up having to do an interview, and so he didn't come out. So, unfortunately, I would have liked to have done that. But anyway, so I'm at a 6.5 overall.
Okay. So that's a 7.33 average between the three of us.
Glad to be included.
All these great decimals here. Novelty, this is a measure of the originality of anything having to do with the movie for 5 points, as well as the execution on anything in the movie for an additional 5 points, for a total of 10. Let's let our esteemed multi-time, 5-time club member guest lead off this category.
Yeah, so I think as far as the story goes, it's a bank robbery. It's been told a million times, but I do think it brings some new kind of excitement to it from a script perspective. I think it's rated a 3. And then I think execution-wise, Spike is doing a lot of really interesting stuff here. And he creates what is kind of a run-of-the-mill, pretty good script. And I think he infuses it with a lot of really interesting dynamics on power and greed and corruption. And I think I'm at a 4 for Execution, so I think I'm at a 7 for the two.
I'm right there with you, except I went slightly different. I think from a novelty aspect, I had it at a 3.5, but I have it as an Execution at a 3.5. Enjoyable, but I have my nitpicks in there where I've already mentioned several of them. I think it has some third act problems. I think it has some continuity problems at times. I think some of the characters aren't completely developed for as long as the movie is. It's, 130 minutes, I think?
Yeah, it's right at 130, yeah. 210.
Yeah. So for that long of a runtime, you would have expected that we have a little bit more character development, but we really know nothing about Dalton Russell or any of the other bank robbers. We know only what we need to know, I guess, about Case. Otherwise, the most character development we get is Frazier. We don't know jack shit about his partner, and we know very little about Madeline White other than she's just kind of a stock character in some ways. So
We don't even know if Case is married.
I think it's got some script issues. But, all right. Anyway, so with that, I ended up at a 7 as well.
I am also at a 7, but I have it a little differently. I have originality to 3, a little bit higher up. I think if it were not the twists and plots, it'd be about a 1.5. Execution, I have as a 4, and it's the central piece where they're interviewing the witnesses. It took me several of the interviews to figure out what was going on, that this is a flash forward. It shouldn't be that way. It shouldn't come out clearer than that. There were some other problems I had with it. But by the same token, the first several minutes of it, the camera angles, the cinematography involved, how the thing was shot from a lower point of view, higher point of view, making Denzel look taller, and then the criminals being shot lower, etc. I thought it was some great camera work, and I thought it was great execution. There were just some holes in it that, I can't give it anything higher than a 4, so I'm at a 7.
The one thing I'll say about Execution that I didn't mention that I just really love is Terrence Blanchard's score. I think is so good in this movie. I really do love the compositions for this.
All right, so that is a 7 average between the three of us. Classicness. This is a measure of how well the film has aged or not. It can be a number of different factors. Usually it's harder to calculate up rather than down. So instead of starting at a midpoint of 5, we start at a baseline of 6 to give this a little bit more weight towards that side of things, as classicness is somewhat wont to do. But because this category lives in the gray, we will turn it over to our senior nuance correspondent, Dana.
You're letting me go first on this one?
No, I just meant the other Dana that's off screen.
I'm glad.
Come in, other Dana, please.
Yes, I didn't want to, have problems with, but okay.
Oh, Jesus.
Yes. Anyway, I have absolutely no reason to go up or down. None. I have nothing to add. I tried to think, well, the white character, at least it was a woman in a predominantly buddy heist film. No. She's completely vanilla. Can't do anything there. Negatives? Well, yeah, there might be a little bit about the race elements, but it's made to be somewhat funny. And again, it's kind of pointing out the fallacy or the problems. So I can't go down for that either. So I'm sticking right at my 6. Just there it is.
And that's somewhat, I can completely understand that opinion. I would probably defer to some of that myself, except I'm going to put on one additional factor. Now, timelessness, we usually say, doesn't really start ticking, or it doesn't start tolling until about 25 years. This is at 20. Give it another 5 years, we might start to say whether it has some level of timelessness to it. But that being said, this is a fairly modern, diverse cast. You have a lot of blend of what New York actually looks like in this film. You have a Sikh, you have the white woman fixer, you have the wealthy white banker, you have the black detectives, you have the like slightly bigoted cop. You have all these people in this like general melting pot of different things and this stew going on during the movie. And while the racism is a little bit overt, I think it is actually fairly honest with how like people in New York probably are. At least in like 2006, where there was some stuff going on. This is not that far removed, especially for where this supposedly takes place near Wall Street in that area of town. They're still cleaning up the towers. So, I don't find that to be off-putting. I find that to be pretty much engaging. So I gave it an extra point at a 7.
Tom, I'm going to go just a half point up from you. And I am going to piggyback on what you're saying, and I'm going to say as well, I think this is a really good post 9/11 movie, like a really good encapsulation of the fear of the city. Like my wife, when they do the raid and everywhere, all the peoples are coming out, and she's like, "They're shooting them? Like, what are they doing?" Like, and obviously the rubber bullets, but just the hysteria and I'm like that's crazy. First, I mean, just like the tensions were so high, everyone was like, is it terrorists? Is it? And like, no, it's bank robbers. Like, these are bank robbers. I think it's a really good post 9/11 movie. And then, as you said, yeah, I think truly is a melting pot. We have so many different cultures represented. It's interesting that the two detectives are black. It's Chiwetel Ejiofor and Denzel Washington, and Willem Dafoe's kind of the side guy. He's the number 2 guy. He's not really in charge of. He's in charge of the ground. He's not in charge of the negotiation. And yeah, so I think this is just a really interesting tapestry. And I think that it captures the spirit of New York after 9/11 in a way that not a lot of movies could. So yeah, 7.5 for me.
So that's a 6.83 average between the three of us. Finally, we get to rewatchability, where we normally start with our guest, who I'm sure has his own subjective test. I think it used to be, what was it, the towel and whether you've completely dried yourself off in the hotel room type of thing.
Yeah, you gotta the you're kind of cold because your hotel room's always a little bit cold. It's like, do you get dressed quick or not? No, but so for this, I mean, my metric here is really, I've seen this, I probably saw it 2 or 3 times in the years right after, from like 2006 to 2010 or 11. I probably saw it, 2, 3, maybe 4 times. And then now it's like every 5 years I check in. I'm like, oh yeah, let me pop on Inside Man. So I think that'll hold at a nice little 8. I think it's a really solid 8. I don't need to watch it every year. There's enough twists and turns if you wait every 5 years or so that you've kind of forgotten some of them. And so when things happen, you're like, oh yeah, that is how it played out. So I think 8's kind of the perfect way to land at this.
I'm at a 7. It's a film I'm going to rewatch. I enjoyed it. It's kind of film that I can see throwing on. Your mother hasn't seen it. I'm sure your grandmother hasn't seen it. That type of deal when it's a Friday night or a Saturday night and they can't decide on anything. That type of deal. So,
I'm sorry. I gotta ask. You say that almost every week. In fact, I would say it's almost every other week that I show you a new movie or there's something that's like a favorite of yours that, yeah, this is rewatchable. And then I would beg to guess that you have probably not rewatched any of the movies you've said that about.
I don't. I'd have to look, but I think that's not accurate.
I mean, I'll start looking at your letterbox here as you start to tick stuff off this year, but the amount of things, like, for example, V for Vendetta, you said specifically last week that you could see yourself showing that to somebody else and rewatching it with them. I doubt it's going to be Mom, but, let's say Sarah's significant other, John. I could see you probably introducing. It's got enough action in it. There aren't a ton of characters. It's a very small, contained cast. He could probably keep up with it. That'd be a good movie for somebody like him, who has some issues with certain movies.
Yes.
But let's be realistic. When are you going to watch V for Vendetta with John?
I don't know. I was mentioning Josh O'Connor this morning to your mother, and she couldn't even remember that he was in the Knives Out film.
Well, let alone in The Crown, which is where she probably should have seen him. But she didn't watch Challengers with us.
She got to watch the Churro getting bit.
Mm-hmm. That was a good scene.
But he's good in Knives Out. I love...
Really good in Challengers.
Yeah, I love Wake Up Dead Man. God, I love Wake Up Dead Man.
All three of them are very good. It's not my favorite one.
It's my favorite of the bunch. I think it's the best. I think it's got the most to say. It's the best acted. I kind of like that Benoit Blanc doesn't come in for an hour. Oh, God, it's good. I love it.
Anyway, all right, so we have an 8 and a 7. I've tried to take more of an objective look at this, and I feel like maybe I'm a little bit low because I'm putting my own spin on the ball here. Originally, I had this one at a 6.5, but I think that this is enough of a dad movie that maybe I should move this up and probably split the difference between the two of you. So I think probably a 7.5 and then a 7.5 average is probably warranted here.
Yeah.
All right.
Worrying he's going to wear out the calculator.
Yeah, that was definitely it. So that takes us to audience score on this one. For Google users, we had a 70%, and for Rotten Tomato users, we had an 85%, giving us a 7.75. So to repeat the categories, for Legacy, we had a 5.83. For Impact and Significance, a 7.33. For Novelty, a 7. For Classicness, a 6.83. For Rewatchability, a 7.5. And Audience Score, a 7.75, giving us a final total of a palindromic 42.24, and currently placing it on our list
155.
So 167.
at number 212 between Caddyshack and Big.
Two very normal films.
I mean, there's a lot of casual viewing movies that fall roughly in this region of the list. We've got Silver Linings Playbook, we've got The Notebook, Slapshot, The Birds, Love Actually, The American President, Almost Famous, V for Vendetta, 2 Indiana Jones films. So, I mean, it's not...
Yeah, that seems about right.
Yeah. This isn't like a highbrow film. This is an enjoyable movie, but, you know.
This is kind of the same watch for me as The American President.
Yeah.
I'm going to put it on, really good, pleasant, has just enough intelligence to it that I'm not going to it's not rotting my brain, but it's not like I've got a ton of heavy lifting to do. Yeah.
It's a good dad nap cable movie. You know what the plot is, roughly. You can wake up at about any point and you're just like, oh yeah, okay, now I'm back in.
Yeah.
That's what this film is. And for some dads, it's Caddyshack. Like mine.
My dad gave me a VHS of Caddyshack for my 13th birthday.
Okay. Well, at least your dad didn't try and show it to you when you were 8 and then forgot to skip over the nudie parts.
I think
he's
he might
rushing
have.
for the remote. Oh shit. I forgot about this one.
He probably did. And look, my dad showed me. I went to see Cliffhanger in theaters. It was my first. I think it's my first R-rated movie.
All right. So, as always, if you have any questions or comments or thoughts, you can write us at greatestaltimemoviepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on any of our socials at gmotepodcast, or you can write us on our website, ronnieduncanstudios.com/gmotepodcast. Okay, let's get to some remaining questions for this one, of which I have a few. How much did Russell and his crew actually get away with? We see probably a good handful of diamonds there. I don't know how much else was taken, and they do have that blackmail thing, so...
Well, all right. A 1-carat diamond in 2006 was about $8,000.
Okay.
I'm not sure that those were just 1-carat diamonds. They could very well have been 2 or 3. They're in that pouch, those black pouches that they were looking at. I estimate that there are approximately 100 diamonds in there. And I'm getting to the point that there were 12 to 15 bags in that safety deposit box. So I'm estimating somewhere between $1.2 and $1.7 million in just the diamonds.
I think it's a little more than that.
You might be light on that.
I was thinking somewhere like 5 million. But honestly,
So-
I don't think it really matters, the diamonds.
All right, let's just say it's for the sake of math and numbers, okay? You had them graded out. Let's say all of them are 1 carat, so 8,000 roughly. And you said that there were about 100 in the bag. That's $800,000 per bag, and there were 10 bags. That's $8 million right there.
Okay. So I apparently did the math wrong.
Even if you and that was a conservative number, but let's just say it's 52 carat diamonds or something per bag, and there were 12 or whatever. It's somewhere between probably 5 million and 20 million.
Yeah.
In pure diamonds.
Yeah. Enough that they will, be okay to live for a while.
Sure. They'll be sipping their pina coladas with Jesus and Jamal.
Well, and the whole thing is, Fraser's turning him in at the end, which is why Dalton, he basically abdicates his own responsibility and says, I don't need to do this because Mike probably thinks he's going to get caught if he does it. He knows Fraser's going to turn him in.
Wait, I'm sorry. How?
Well, he gives the war crimes number to Jodie Foster. He's telling her, I'm going to call...
Oh, you mean he's going to turn in Case and Christopher Plummer?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Plummer.
I was going to say,
Sorry, not Dalton.
The robbers, the Steves, all get away with it.
Oh, yeah, they get away. Which is... What I love is you're the whole movie, you're rooting for the robbers and you're rooting for Denzel.
Yeah.
Because you're like, the robbers don't do anything that bad. They beat up one guy.
All right. I'm going to get to that here in a second. So you had your own posited theory on how he found out the information. So how Russell finds out the information. Now, if you'll remember right, and it's slowly revealed over time, the only people that they rough up are the other bank robbers during all of this, except for one bank manager who they do see at one point, and he's clearly beaten up. I think that's staged, and the bank manager is the one who knew about the security deposit box and is in on it.
That's a good theory. Also, it could be how Dalton gets out of there. He walks out of there, and I'm surprised because it's a week later, and the bank is just it's wide open.
Well, I kept thinking, why were they chipping or beating into the floor and opening that up? And then it dawned on me, if he's going to be sitting in there in a week, he has to use a bathroom. Yeah, that was opening up to the sewer.
That's a great shitter.
Yep.
All right, so the other thought I had, what happens to Case? He's a rich white guy. Even if he was turned into the war crimes type of thing, I still don't think there's not a whole lot that's going to happen to him.
And what do they know? Obviously he profited, but that's not necessarily a crime in and of itself, right? It's immoral.
After all, we certainly have Pope Leo, or no, what was it, Pope
Benedict?
Benedict, yeah.
That was the young Nazi. Yeah.
Yeah. The Catholic Church seemed to have...
Well, the Catholic Church is a corrupt institution that tries to sweep sins under the rug all the time and has been for 500 years. But that's beside the point.
Years?
I'm being nice.
Longer than that.
I'm being nice.
Well, there's always a first.
I think what happens is it's gonna taint his legacy. I don't think he's gonna lose any material wealth. I think he's gonna probably have to sell his banks, step down, and it's the kind of thing that he doesn't want to get out. But I think we've realized in the last 5 years, if you're rich and you're popular and you're famous and you do something shitty,
You're going to get away with it.
people have short memories.
He'll disappear with a lot of the old Nazis in Switzerland.
Or Argentina.
And that's part of it too, is, just sell your bank, man. Just go live on an island.
Yep, in the Caymans or whatever. Yeah.
Get your little St. John.
Yep.
Your own one.
Okay, any remaining questions for either of you?
No, I don't think so. I mean, so Dana, from a
No, I
lawyer's
don't think
perspective,
so, but here, let me ask one.
well, this was pretty quick, but for both you guys, from a lawyer's perspective, how hard would this be to pin on any of them? And if it is pinned on them, what kind of time are they going to do?
So when you say pin on, are we talking the robbers?
The robbers, yes.
Well, you have really no evidence, and ultimately...
Except you do. Because this is conspiracy to commit or attempt. Because you've made everybody believe you were.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think the charges could be there if you could tie it to them. You're having to assume, because theoretically they've left behind no DNA, per se, here.
Well, because everyone left DNA, so it doesn't really matter if they say, oh, well, their DNA was there. Everyone had gloves.
The fingerprints are all over from everybody. Yeah. They all escaped in the crowd. Nobody could finger them from anybody else because they had their masks off or whatever, the James Ransone scene where he's dragged out, that kind of thing. So assuming though, okay, and I think the question has to assume, yes, there are charges that you could make stick because even though it's not, what would it be, it can't be aggravated robbery because the guns were not real.
Well, you'd have kidnapping.
Yeah, you definitely have that, which is a federal offense.
And the fact that the guns weren't real does not prevent while armed. Because making someone believe that the guns are workable and viable is while armed. They do not actually have to be actual workable firearms.
And if you don't recover the diamonds, there's at least some decent tort claims there.
So to that extent, I'm thinking 5 to 8 years.
Yeah, you're much better with the criminal stuff than I am.
I mean,
I did it for 17 years, so...
I mean, I'd have to defer. Yeah, I think they're not doing, heavy time because, again, part of it is in order for them to have a robbery charge stick, Case would have to admit that he had the diamonds and all of the rest of it, which he didn't seem like he was really willing to do.
Yeah.
Which is part of the mastery of the crime is you're taking away a possession from somebody who had something that they didn't want but also couldn't get rid of. But assuming that he never presses the charges that they don't steal anything that anybody knows about, then all you have is really the kidnapping charge.
Well,
and then it's probably kidnapping per victim, but then you may tie it all together. So then it's a question of, do you stack the charges or do you basically treat them all as one?
Well, I would imagine, too, they get arrested. Dalton pulls out the file and says, oh, well, I've got this really interesting piece of file here. And Arthur Case is like, I'll pay whatever to make this go away. $1 billion to the city of New York, whatever it takes.
Yeah. There will be a lot of money exchanged under the table.
Yeah. Oh, of course.
So...
And you can find all of that information on Dana's new legal channel, which is, to my chagrin, going to be unedited.
About time.
Yeah, okay.
But I'd like to thank our guest, Peterson, for being back with us for, I think it's now your 15th time now?
15th, 16th, something like that.
Let me look here.
Has he got his 15th gift?
No, he's up to 14. So the next one will be 15.
And that's
which is the polo shirt.
Yes. You'll have to let us know whether you want long sleeve or short sleeve. I would assume short sleeve, considering Atlanta.
I'm in the South.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, you will be back with us again in June for Clute, if not before that. But please again remind the people what you're working on and where they can find you.
Well, we just talked about something I was going to do in like 2 weeks.
Did we?
Yes.
Yeah.
I know.
No, yeah, so catch my back catalog here, obviously at Gmote, and then War Sharts at Midnight. We've got a great back catalog there.
Did you say War Sharts at Midnight?
Oof. Man, that sounds rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I've had those before. The ones where you wake up and your colon feels like it's on fire and you gotta go run to the can, but
it's that meme of the evil, quote unquote, evil guy from Home Alone who says, "Oh, pulling up to Taco Bell at midnight. Mm-hmm. This is where you want to be. Feel bad about yourself."
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
So yeah, War Starts at Midnight. Great back catalog there, as well as a back catalog of writing at psychodrivein.com. And yeah, catch me back here in the coming months.
All right. Dad, any remaining thoughts for the week? How are you going to spend your post-Oscars malaise?
I've got to prepare for our next show, which is on short notice. And then next week, I will be going to the Beloit International Film Festival for 4 days. Looking forward to that. It's my hometown. They have some pretty good stuff. And then a couple weeks after that, I'll be joining you in Madison for the Wisconsin Film Festival. So,
sounds good.
Gonna add hopefully some decent documentaries and some shorts and some other things that I really enjoy, and looking forward to it.
We should try and get some of our critic friends to come, but we'll see. As for me, I know that we mentioned it before earlier in the show, but First Watch, Rewatch, the first 2 episodes did go up this last weekend. We are working on trying to schedule a third recording. I don't know. We're going to be trying to put this out probably every week on Sunday is my guess, but we're still a work in progress. This is one where we sat down and started recording before we had all the P's and Q's done. We don't have a branding. We didn't have a title until like late last week. So it's just kind of one of these, we're just putting it together, but I think the chemistry is there, and I hope you guys enjoy this. It was a good outlet for me to explore something that I'd been itching to do for a while, and we just hope you enjoy it as much as we've enjoyed recording and putting it together so far.
That seems like a really fast pace for Sarah.
Yeah.
About once a week?
I'm trying to force her into better habits. Let's say that. Anyway, that'll do it for us this week. Thank you for listening. I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner. Next week, for our 305th episode, we discuss the indie darling Memento from 2001, celebrating its 25th anniversary. Written and directed by Christopher Nolan, cinematography by Wally Pfister, music by David Julian, editing by Dodie Dom, starring Guy Pearce, Carrie-Anne Moss, and Joe Pantoliano. You won't want to miss that one, so watch ahead of the show by searching the Real Good app to find where it's streaming for you. That's REELGOOD. Please like, follow, rate, and review, or whatever on whichever platform you have so that more can join in our fun. You can also email the show at RonnieDuncanStudios.com or at greatestaltimemoviepodcast@gmail.com, or find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Letterboxd, TikTok, or Threads at the handle @GModePodcast. The Greatest Movie of All Time is a production of Ronnie Duncan Studios. Our show is mixed, edited, and written by Thomas Duncan. Our music is thanks to Purple Planet Music. Our distributor is Captivate FM. Our technical provider is Riverside FM.